So my last video I talked about Greece and how I like to move there. I just saw a video on TikTok of this girl on TikTok. She's basically weeping in joy and disbelief on how much better Germany's system of just doing things is so much better than America. They actually care about taking care of their citizens. And so most of this video was dedicated for my other channel, but it fits into this channel because we're talking about how bad the US is in politics on this channel as well, and how other systems are just doing better and taking care of their citizens. And the US is failing at that. And I talked about in my last video how Greece is the country that I would move to if I did move abroad. But Germany is maybe a high second place because the only thing I like about Germany is they simp for Israel. Germany simps for Israel, and they apologize for what, quote, happened and stuff back decades ago. And it's like, oh, we're so sorry. We got to make it up to y'all. And all that we did, all these bad things. We were so evil. And that's what they do. So that's the main issue I actually have with Germany. So allegedly, Bibi Netanyahu, kind of like on the Air Force One for Israel, flew into Berlin, Germany to escape the attacks from Iran in Tel Aviv. And so I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but they aren't really good terms now. And it's crazy how how times turn things around, because you know how it was decades ago in the 1940s, how Germany was at the part of the Axis powers going against Israel. And now they're like allies and the best of buds, it seems like. So Germany was a country I was considering, but because they're so supportive of Israel, if I did move there, it'd be like essentially the same situation, the same scenario as the American government, you know, just simping and bending the knee to Israel. So, but Germany is still an amazing country. And I do believe that they care about their citizens more so than America does. So as promised in my last video, I was going to go over a video. This is a really long video on TikTok. Usually they're short videos, but it's pretty long, like multiple minutes. And she's going to go over her experience moving to Germany and how the system there is so much better. And it's going to make you mad. It's going to make you mad if you continue sticking along with this video and watching it all the way through. I hope you do. I hope you stick around. But you're just going to look at America and just be like, oh, man, what are we doing as a country? And why are we considered the best country? And yeah, there's some really good things here, but there's also some really horrible things here. And growing up in America, that make you think that this is the best country to live in, the best quality of life, the best opportunities. People move here all the time to get better opportunities. And that might have been true maybe 2 decades ago or more. But now, anyways, let's get to the video. I'm yapping too much.
As an American, there are some things that you can truly never fully understand until you leave the United States. I moved out of the United States 2.5 years ago, and since then, there have been moments where certain things happen that completely and utterly break everything that I've ever known. And today, one of those things happened. I'm currently living in Germany, and very recently I just got a part-time barista job. It's completely a part-time thing and just something for me to make some extra cash on the side. And I literally cannot even work more than 20 hours a week per my resident permit. And I haven't even started working yet, but there are some things about this job that have already broken me in a good way. As I'm in talks with the boss trying to get this job, I'm expecting like, okay, we'll do like an interview or something and they can see if they like me or not. And the boss emails me about like, they don't do like an interview, they do like a tryout day. And they're telling me like, come in for the tryout.
For socially anxious people or people with performance anxiety or just fear of interviews, this is an excellent system. Have a tryout day rather than an interview. Once I heard that, this is just kind of off topic a little bit. But when I heard that, I'm like, I would love that. Because interviews can give people the frights just thinking about it. Like, I got to go to an interview. They're going to judge everything I say. And there's sometimes a panel interview, a long thing. But performing for a day, a test day, that's kind of cool. Anyways, let's continue.
Day and see if you like it and if you fit in with the environment well. And when I went in for the tryout day and like all went really well and stuff, the boss asked me at the end, so like if you feel good about this job, like if you like it, if it suits you well and you think you might want to stay here, then just like write me an email and let me know by like Tuesday or whatever. And they're not saying anything about like whether they even like me or not. Like all the focus seems to be on whether like I like the job and I want to stay there. Like I ended up having to ask like, well, do you like me? Like my German isn't so good. So like, is it okay or is it like a problem? Like, how do you feel like I fit in with the environment? And only then did I hear from the boss like that, yeah, they liked me too. And then as we're going through the hiring process, like the first thing that they tell me is like, okay, the paperwork should be ready to sign in like 2 weeks. First things first, I need a little bit of information from you. And the first thing she asked me was, when do you want to take your vacation days this year? Literally the first thing that they asked me. Guess how many vacation days I get for a part-time 20-hour-a-week barista job? I am allotted 36 vacation days, or 6 weeks in a 6-day work week schedule.
Hold
6
up.
weeks.
36 vacation days. I don't even think I get that much, y'all. And I work a full-time job with benefits. 36 vacation days. I mean, if you think about it, that's a lot. That's a lot. At least for America, that's a lot. 36 vacation days. Now, I'm trying to figure out if they're talking about paid vacation or not. Because that's a difference. Because if you take off and you don't get paid for it, well, it's the big difference between paid vacation. So I don't think she went into detail about that. I kind of wish she did, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. I have to look that up. But either way, it's classified as a benefit by what her employer is saying. So regardless, it's still good because in America, they don't even like to give you days off even if you're not paid.
But the thing that broke me today was an email from my boss telling me that not only is it possible for me to go on the public healthcare system, but it's literally required for me to. For context, this has never been possible for me before, and since I turned 25 and moved outside of the United States, I've only been able to have essentially travel insurance. And
Let me just say, if you're in your 20s, I think that's the best time to travel. I traveled in my 20s to, mind you, I made a stupid decision though. I didn't have any money. I was completely broke, no plan, not even working. I was trying to be an entrepreneur. It didn't work. But if you are in your 20s and you will do it smarter than I did, which I recommend you either have a job, have a real source of income, save up for it, which I did none of those things. I made my family pay for it and I said I would pay him back. And I eventually did. It took a long time, but I didn't have any sort of income doing this. So I was broke the whole time. Have a really good job lined up or something. And the cool thing is if you do want to do that, I don't recommend going to college these days because usually degrees are they're just not as important as they used to be. But if you want to travel overseas, I think this is still a thing. Was a thing when I was in my 20s. As long as you have any kind of bachelor's degree at all, it doesn't even matter what it is, just a bachelor's degree. You can teach foreign language. I mean, you could teach English in a foreign country. You could teach English in a foreign country. I think a lot of countries, this applies to a lot of countries. A big one was Thailand. You can do it in Japan. You can do it in a lot of other countries that they want. They want English speakers to teach English to their own citizens. And that is a way a lot of people were traveling when I was overseas. And I was a little bit jealous. I'm like, yo, I kind of wish I'd done that, but I didn't have a degree, so I couldn't have done that because I dropped out of college. Anyways, let's continue. I keep on going on tangents, y'all, but for anybody interested that you want to travel the world and you're in your 20s.
Now through the German public healthcare system, I can pay into it and then see pretty much any doctor that I want to, as long as they have an available appointment for free or pretty much free. And the amount that you pay into.
That's a good benefit. Healthcare. That might be the best. That might even be better than vacation days. Good healthcare. I mean, healthcare, y'all, having an illness can ruin your life, can make your life, change your life and make it suck. And if you don't have good healthcare, you're going to have to deal with that. And then, or you can go broke and in debt and in bankruptcy because of that in America. Sorry, I kept on interrupting, but she was saying it costs about 80 or 100 euros per month to put into, I guess from a paycheck, to put into the public healthcare system in Germany.
Dentist in like 10 years. And I know that partially that's definitely my fault, but I literally through like the public health insurance, it's like required for you to go like twice a year. I was like kind of freaking out when I first got the email, and I was like texting my German friends so that they could like help me understand better, and because like I translated it, but I was like, I don't want this to be like a false translation or something and me get my hopes up for no reason. And they were like, congratulations, like, but I was like really overwhelmed by it, and they were like, I don't understand what the big deal is. Like, yeah, of course, anyone in Germany who makes more than like 600 euros a month, they automatically can go on the public health insurance. And they're asking me like, what, you didn't know that? And I'm like, no, I didn't know that. Of course I could have like researched that, but like the thing is when you're socialized like as an American, like why would I have even expected that or thought to research something like that? We don't even have a public healthcare system like this. And a 20-hour-a-week barista gig would never give you social safety nets from it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Imagine working at Starbucks in America part-time. You won't expect nothing. You wouldn't expect anything. If you know how the system works in America, it's like, what are you going to expect from that? All you need to expect is a paycheck in America. That's it. No benefits, nothing. No vacation, nothing. It's just you work at a barista at a coffee shop. The most you can expect is your paycheck, and that's it. But in Germany, public health care, vacation time, all of that. So what is this caption saying? The issue is not with the person. They haven't experienced the system we live under in the US, and that is a good thing. And I'm genuinely happy for them. I wish more people, I can't read that because the play button's in the way. The issue is the United States of America and the system built being cruel, unhuman, and unlivable for the most part.
Like, why would I have expected that? People who are not American will never understand that American systemically is so harsh and unforgiving and just cruel that it socializes you. If you're poor, if you're not wealthy, then it socializes you into having just an overall pessimistic mindset or having expectations that everything will be so difficult and or impossible that you should set your standards super, super, super low, like in hell, so that you can be easier to exploit. Why would I have ever thought to look something like that up? I'm used to a part-time job giving you nothing. Yeah. I'm used to public healthcare not even really existing. I'm used to literally everyone I love around me being like constantly in this state of like nervous system dysregulation because they're constantly in fear that if they have 2-3 bad months, then they're literally on the street. I'm used to seeing women in abusive situations not be able to leave their husband because they will lose their healthcare or it will be too financially crippling for them and they are terrified of being homeless. I'm used to people working 2 to 3 jobs and still being so scared of not being able to make ends meet for their family. I'm used to things being impossibly expensive. I'm used to things being intentionally made to be as difficult as possible to deter people from obtaining them. I'm used to things being unforgiving and uncaring and unhuman. Like, I can't believe how easy it was for me to obtain the essential care that every human being needs and deserves just by serving a little bit of coffee. Like, of course, you can read and research about other countries, like, as much as possible, but there's some things that you don't fully understand until you leave the United States. I'm so angry and full of grief that our government and our society and media and whoever else has convinced us that the way that we live is normal. I'm currently writing a Substack article talking about all of the various things that I've learned that you can't really understand until you leave the United States. And so you guys can follow me there if you are interested in more information like in this video.
All right, so I'm definitely link her video in the description if you want to check out her profile on TikTok. Why is it not showing the full name right here? Oh, here we go. Key Lime Lana. So if you want to check her out, there she is. And she left a comment here that I was reading kind of while I was watching the video, which is why my eyes were wandering a little bit. But I just want to see what it said. I don't know how many Americans are so accepting of the utter dumpster fire we are served by our system. Frozen Water is a militaristic group of state thugs. What? Wait, what is she saying? Frozen Water is a militaristic group of state thugs kidnapping. Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. It took me a while to connect what she was saying there. Yeah. I don't know why she can't criticize ICE on TikTok. Is it because the new TikTok system is owned by the US now? Maybe that's why. I know the censorship on TikTok is crazy. So that's probably why she's talking like this. I couldn't be on TikTok. I'll be censored heavily, especially since I get into conspiracy theories and stuff. But yeah, and then she says, and y'all are fine with it as long as you have a life more comfy than others around you, still not even adequate because you don't know what a statistically good quality of life is. You just think yours is good because it's all you ever lived. Great point. Because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know how good things could be because you never even experienced it before. Which is why I think traveling is a good thing at some point in your life. And I think 20s is probably the best time to do it because you're an adult. You're not in your teens anymore. So you're a little bit more mature than you were in your teens, but you're not too old to where it's like you're more set in your ways. So the 20s, if you can do it, even just a year, traveling through a couple different countries is just a good experience. But yeah, to finish this up, it says, because it's all you've ever lived, GL with those yearly 5K deductibles. What is GL? I don't know. Good life? I don't know. Deductibles so you can afford an exorbitantly expensive prescription. That costs 10 euros overseas without insurance because you think socialism bad. Well, I don't agree with socialism, but Germany, as I did research in my last video, Germany is not a socialist system. It's capitalist, but it uses some socialism principles. It's like a mixture of things. So what is Germany's economy? Germany has the third largest economy in the... Really? I didn't know it had third largest economy in the world. Does it really? That is crazy. Who knew that? I wasn't even asking how big the economy was. It's the third largest. That is wild after the US and China. And it's the largest in the European Union, characterized by a social market system that balances capitalist, export-oriented manufacturing with strong government-regulated social welfare programs. So it seems like a mix between capitalism and socialism, but it's, if you had to pick one, it's described as capitalist. Because I'm going to ask it, is Germany a capitalist economy? Yes, Germany is a capitalist country, but it uses a social market economy. So the system combines private ownership of the means of production and free market competition with a strong welfare state, high levels of regulation, and in some sectors, state-supported coordinated capitalism. Is that the way for the U.S. to go? Like, should we basically mirror what Germany is doing here? I just know what would that mean, as I spoke about in my last video. That would mean increased taxes, right? I think that would mean increased taxes. Let's actually do some research on that really quick. I'm getting into some stuff with this. Let's ask Gemini AI. I use this thing a lot, y'all. So Germany is a capitalist system that uses a social market economy. Does this mean that it's a mix of both capitalism and socialism? And because the economy is social market with a strong welfare system, does this mean that the government takes more taxes out of the paychecks of German citizens compared to the US? But this is what it is. Sozial Marktwirtschaft. It's a bit of a balancing act. It tries to keep the engine of capitalism running while making sure nobody falls out of the car. It seems like a good analogy. It seems pretty like logical to think this way. But my concern is, how big does this make government? How much power does government have? How many taxes are taken out? Let's see what it says. Is it a mix? Technically, no. So I guess I was wrong earlier. It's not a mix. Germany is firmly a capitalist country, but it operates under a social market model. Think of it as capitalism with a referee game. The market, which I kind of like that actually. I kind of like that description. The market side, it relies on private property, free trade, and supply and demand. Competition is the main driver, which is, I like this about capitalism. The social side, government steps in to prevent monopolies, protect workers' rights, and provide a massive safety net. In the US, the philosophy is often let the market solve it. In Germany, the philosophy is the market is great, but it shouldn't be allowed to ruin lives. It isn't socialism where the state owns the means of production, but it is a welfare state where the government heavily regulates the economy to ensure social fairness. The tax question, which is one of my main concerns, y'all. I don't like the government taking my money. No. To put it bluntly, yes, German government generally takes a significantly larger bite. Whew. Yes, so it takes a bigger, and this is a bite out of the paycheck compared to the US government. However, taxes in Germany are a two-part story: income tax and social security contributions. So the top income tax rate, 42%, reaches 45% for very high earners. So it's only a difference in 3% between, I guess, average earners and then rich earners. Only a difference of 3%. The US is crazy how it changes the difference. And the United States is 37% federal plus state taxes. Social Security, 20% of gross pay split with employer. And the United States is 7.65%, the FICA. The VAT sales tax, 19% standard. This is looking bad for Germany. The United States, 0 through 10% varies by state/city. Health insurance included in social contributions. United States, usually a private monthly premium. So what's the total tax burning for Germany? Because it's looking like it's going to be 42 plus 20, 62 plus 19, 82%. Like, I don't know if that's how it works, but it's not looking good here. Why is the gap so large in Germany? Your tax includes things that Americans usually pay for separately. Healthcare. Almost everybody is on a public health plan funded by those payroll deductions. There are no deductibles or out-of-network nightmares like in the US. It is a nightmare. Healthcare in the US is for sure. Education, university is essentially free. I love that. But taxes. Unemployment, if you lose your job, the system is designed to keep you at roughly 60% of your previous salary for a significant period. The bottom line reality. A middle-class worker in Germany might see 35 through 45% of their gross pay disappear before it hits their bank account. In the US, that number might be closer to 20 through 30%, depending on the state. But the American then has to pay for health insurance, save for the kids' college, and put more aside for retirement. Note, Germans often view high taxes as a social insurance premium rather than just the government taking their money. It's the price of a society where you don't have to worry about going bankrupt because of a broken leg. Good point. Would you like me to run a hypothetical take-home pay comparison between a specific salary to show how the numbers actually shake out? I actually would. Would you like to see that? I think you would too, right? If you're still watching the video. So I said, yes, do a $100,000 yearly salary and explain the total tax burden of each country. You can use the state of Georgia to represent the U.S. because some states, there's no state income tax. So I actually want to use a state, which most of the states do have a state income tax. So let's see what it says. This is such a great tool, y'all. Some people hate on AI, but when it comes to like figuring out stuff and brainstorming, I love using AI, specifically Gemini. ChatGPT, I don't like using ChatGPT at all nowadays. And Gemini and Google's Gemini is a lot better, in my opinion. All right, so let's look at $100,000 salary or $100,000 euros as the benchmark for a high earner. shakes out in both places for a single person with no children in 2026. In this scenario, the German social market system takes a significantly larger portion up front, but the U.S. system, specifically in Georgia, leaves you with more cash while handing you the bill for services like healthcare and education later. So in Germany, the total tax burden is, 44%? Because you get to keep 56%. I don't know how that makes sense, though. Based on what we just saw up here, 42% income tax, Social Security, and then the VAT sales tax. I guess they do not include the sales tax, I'm guessing. I don't know. But it's saying the income tax will be 25,000 euros. State tax, there's none for Germany because it's just a country with no states. Social Security, 20,000, about total tax burden, 43,000 euros, 44,000 euros. Total take home, 56,000 euros. And then Georgia, 100,000, 13,200 federal, 4,800 state for Georgia. Social Security, 7,600 in Medicare. Total tax burden, 25K, take home, 74,000. So the take home is about 3/4 of your income. About 3/4 of your income. The take home for Germany, let's just say 1/2 of your income. So you're losing about 25% of your paycheck if you live in Germany, about 25% more. Estimated. We'll just say estimated. 25% more. But you get that good safety net, basically free healthcare or close to free healthcare, free university. What's looking like the better deal here? What is looking like the better deal here? Because you're going to get screwed because no matter what country you live in, they're going to take your money either way. It's just, what do you rather choose? What's the lesser of the two evils here? Do you want more taken out, a better safety net, or less taken out? What do you want? I kind of like this Germany method. It seems like less freedom because there's just more taken out in taxes. So it seems like it's more against the person who wants less government because I don't want big government. I generally don't. But I think the system actually takes care of the citizens better in Germany than the US. And it's capitalist. It's just there's more social welfare. So it's basically saying in Germany, your paycheck looks smaller because you are essentially prepaying for your entire life safety net. Public health insurance, 6,100 of that burden goes to health insurance. There are no deductibles. You walk to the doctor's office, show a card, and walk out. Pension and unemployment. When you're contributing heavily, 9.3% to pension, to a state guaranteed retirement. Guaranteed, y'all. Like, we don't have guaranteed retirement in the U.S. Not if you don't put anything into your 401k or a pension. That's definitely not guaranteed a pension. I'm not getting a pension. Only if you work for certain companies. And a robust unemployment fund that pays you roughly 60% of your salary if you're laid off. Long-term care, a specific tax, 2.4% for childless adults, ensures that if you need a nursing home or home care, when you're 80, it's already covered. So U.S. Georgia, the a la carte model. In Georgia, you keep nearly $20,000 more of your salary every year. However, that money isn't all profits because you now have to buy the services the German government provides. Healthcare, you likely have to pay $1,200 through $6,000 per year in premiums plus deductibles and copays. Retirement, you are responsible for your own 401k, 404k. Yeah, they messed that up, AI. Or IRA. If you don't save the extra cash, you only have a modest Social Security check later. Education. If you have children or plan to, you'll likely be saving a portion of that extra 20K for college tuition, which is free in Germany. So it says the bottom line, you are young, healthy, and high earning. You will almost always have a higher net worth in the US, especially in the state of Georgia, with a moderate flat tax. You can invest that extra 20K and grow it. However, if you get sick, lose your job, or have 3 kids, head to university, the German system suddenly looks like a much better deal. The German system is designed for stability and peace of mind, while the U.S. system is designed for maximum individual growth potential. Would you like me? Well, yeah, I don't want to go into all that. It says, would you like me to look at expenses of renting groceries in Atlanta versus Berlin? We're not going to go into that much detail. Yeah, let me know what you think. What model do you like better? Would you rather have the German model or the US model? Because there is no perfect model. Let's just get that out the way. There is no perfect model. It's like, what pros and cons do you like better? Growing and experiencing different things, and some mental illness I've experienced in the past, and you get medical complications and laid off, and just seeing how bad things can happen, like these things that happen in life that you cannot predict. I'm actually kind of leaning towards the German model. I think it will be better for the average person, honestly. But if you're a person of ultimate freedom and you want the government just not messing with anything, then the American model probably is better. If you're really healthy and you want to take that risk of not having that safety net, and you want to just pay for everything and then invest that $20,000, and you know what to do with it, you know exactly what to do with it, and you feel like you know best of how to spend the money that you have, well, the American system is probably better. But fact is, most people do not have good financial education. And so because America does not have that safety net, and most people don't have a good financial education, and they can't predict the future, a lot of people in America end up broke, a lot of homeless, which I'm pretty sure you rarely see, or see a lot less in Germany because of that safety net. And so how do you solve it all? Is there a perfect system? I don't think there is, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank y'all for watching, and God bless.